Hello, my name is Simon Miller from What Culture Wrestling, and you are listening to the PodMania Pro Wrestling Podcast, and you better keep listening to it. Why? Here's why.
You're listening to the PodMania Pro Wrestling Podcast, a sample of the best pro wrestling podcasts we can produce on our tiny budget. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict, CastBox, and all other podcast platforms. If it's wrestling you want, check out more of our great content at podmania.co.uk. Let's do this.
To another episode 139 of the PodMania Podcast. I'm your host, Rob Good, and I am joined by the Ayatollah of Garth and Roller. It is Garth Jackson. Garth, how are you, buddy?
Good. Looking forward to some tunes tonight.
See how I linked it all in? with the whole Ayatollah? Yeah, I know you liked it. Unfortunately, we don't have Chris tonight, and I do sort of miss him, Garth. I do sort of miss him. His just his youthful energy and
stuff on a hot date or something.
He's told us that he's at some manner of music conference, and that just screams bullshit. It screams Tinder date for me.
Yeah.
So before we get into the topic of today's list, because, it's another list podcast, Garth, and it's a little bit of a different format to how we usually do things. Yeah. Before we get into this, speaking of our dear friend Chris, on the last episode of the Young Lion cast, he let slip to me that the most rock and roll thing he'd ever done was headline a Village Fete. What's the most rock and roll thing you've ever done, Garth?
I mean, music-wise, probably played at the Sage in Gateshead.
See, that is a legitimately cool thing to say.
Or like the festivals and stuff we do, but outside of it, I don't know, just getting drunk and doing stupid shit. Smashing people's wardrobes by accident.
How's that even happen?
I was at my friend's house and I was extremely drunk. I drank like almost a full bottle of rum, and just before smashing up his wardrobe, I tripped and spilt a full glass of rum and coke all over his nice electric standing keyboard.
Oh!
And then I fell backwards into his fitted mirror wardrobe, smashed it. Yeah.
It's a double whammy of disappointment.
And then apparently showed some kind of freakish bout of strength to sort of pull myself out, while completely and utterly inebriated. And then I tried to do some breakdancing downstairs. So yeah.
Not satisfied with the fact that you'd smashed up a man's fitted wardrobe, you were like, I'm going to break more shit by breakdancing downstairs drunk.
I had to pay him some money for the broken stuff.
I'm not going to lie,
Sorry, Rick.
mate. You are... Yeah, shout out to the man who single-handedly destroyed their house. You might be the coolest man I've ever met. I'm not going to lie, Garth. Speaking of rock and roll, we are looking at the top 10 best entrance themes. Now... we made a rod for our own back, really, by labelling this the top 10 best. So we're changing it slightly. It's not going to be the top 10 best because we physically can't rank them in any order. And then we came up with a top 10 and we were talking before the podcast and we realised that we've missed out an absolute fuckload. So, because we're just that professional. So what we're going to do instead is we're just going to basically chat about our 10 favourites. Which sort of covers our own back. Now, Garth, you had a massive issue with the fact that I wanted to include certain songs, and you were like, absolutely not. You threw the big diva fit, smashed up a wardrobe, and were like, no, we're just doing originals. Why? Why are we not allowed to put songs used by wrestlers?
I think as an example, Edge's Metalingus.
Outstanding song, by the way. Alter Bridge.
It is a totally amazing song, and all the ones that were mentioned, I just thought it would be too easy to use those, and it would be too, I don't know, yeah, just too easy.
I agree.
And I think there are, and those, to me, those songs always stand on their own merit as good songs, whereas the original wrestling tunes are sort of specifically catered for that person. You know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. I think some of them, like, I am a really big Alter Bridge fan anyway, so I like Metalingus as its own standalone song. It doesn't just scream Edge for me, even though, you know, if we were doing a list of everything, you know, original songs, band songs for wrestlers, he would rank in the top 3 without a shadow of a doubt, because that dun 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 dun, and then the fireworks, Edge's hair, him humping the ground. It's just it's all great.
Same goes for like as well. I mean, Cult of Personality's fucking amazing song.
See, that one's different because I only know that song through Punk. That is forever CM Punk. That is just synonymous CM Punk. Now, something, for example, like Undertaker coming out to Limp Bizkit, which is divisive. I'm not gonna lie. I really liked. I really enjoyed it when he came out to Rolling. You know,
good at the time.
It was just after I started watching wrestling, like the second time. So I watched it, you know, late 90s, had a break, came back, Taker had gone all biker, and I was like, what the fuck happened to you? And he's coming out to Limp Bizkit, and Limp Bizkit are dancing at WrestleMania 19. He's grabbing his crotch and he's sticking fingers up, and it was like, this is... yeah, he's such a penis. And I was like, what the fuck is this? But that is synonymous with The Undertaker. I hear that song, and in my head, I've got Taker rolling down the entrance ramp on a motorbike.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
And he could have rolled out to, you know, the My Little Pony theme on that motorbike, and it's still cool as balls. He could have come out to classical Beethoven, and it would still have been amazing. But yeah, I know what you mean. Like the Batista song, the Saliva one.
Yeah.
Amazing song. But that is Batista.
Yeah, totally. And it works.
It does, absolutely. We've said about how we're doing original songs. There are a couple that have snuck into this list, and I'll sort of go through that in a minute. But what we'll do is it'll be like the olden days of the 5 count, Garth. Do you remember those days?
Yes.
Do you remember the 5 count?
Many moons ago.
Many moons ago, indeed. Rather than giving a definitive top 10, we'll just sort of take it in turns to give an opinion, give an entry, and we'll just sort of discuss it rather informally. Are you up for that, Garth?
Yeah, let's rock.
Right, well, just because I'm just a bloody beautiful person, I'm going to let you go first. So, which one are you going to go for first?
I'm going to go with an old one from the first time of watching when I was a kid. So we're talking like late 80s. Yes, that was a long time ago.
I really, really, really tried not to say anything. I didn't want to, we haven't got Chris on this podcast who's making us both feel old. I really did try, but do continue.
I'm going to go with The Ultimate Warrior.
Okay, interesting.
Because it is instant. It is like it's the song version of The Ultimate Warrior. It's like a caffeine pill on speed.
Oh, sorry, my phone. Bloody phone. Oh my god, my phone got really excited at the thought of Warrior. Sorry, please carry on.
Warrior calling from beyond the grave.
Fucking hell, who's running up the stairs?
It's I just fucking love it. And like when I was a kid, I used to get so excited to hear that music and then watch him like absolutely belt it down the ring and be absolutely knackered by the time he got around it. Then he could manage 2 moves, but it was so exciting. And it's also very, very, very similar to a part of a song by Deep Purple, which again I grew up with because of my dad. So it's like Highway Star. There's like a little musical interlude in the middle where the solo is. It's the exact same music.
Yeah.
But it's just energy. That song is just energy. So Ultimate Warrior for me, just love it. And the production on it is absolutely shocking. Like even if you listen to like a CD version of it, like the volumes, it's absolutely such low quality. It's unreal.
I mean, it was such a basic entrance when you think about it, but that chord just muted. It just, I mean, that moment where Honky Tonk Man is stood in the ring and he's calling out saying, "No one's going to beat me, I am amazing." And then just that dun, 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 and the crowd erupts because they know Warrior's coming.
The one thing that always comes to my mind when I hear that song is when Warrior came back to save Hogan. I think it was against Sid Vicious.
WrestleMania 8, yeah.
When he came back and he had to do that massive long run.
Do you remember that?
And I just remember hearing the music and like turning to my friend and going, "Oh, he's back!" And it was just fucking like so exciting.
Oh my god, hell has frozen over, he's back.
Yeah, it's totally amazing.
I mean, just as a pure spectacle, his entrance is up there, absolutely. And
song's pretty short.
It is pretty short, but it's something that can be easily looped, which is important for a man who runs 4,000 meters to the ring every time he gets to the ring. But yeah, I mean, it's as a showman, we've talked about it before. As a showman, you find it very, very difficult to top someone as big and as in inverted commas 90s character as Ultimate Warrior was, and just that pounding of the ropes and the fireworks going off, and it was a spectacle and it was incredible. I mean, let's face it. I know you're a huge Warrior fan, but his entrance was the best thing about him.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was the longest. Well, he did have some long matches, but it was definitely once the match started, it was kind of like, oh.
Oh, he's bang average. Oh, okay, fair enough. I mean, let's be honest. The man had this incredible power, and his finishing move was to fall on you.
Yep.
Really? But yeah, I agree. As entrances go, and as songs go, it is very, very iconic. However, I think I can trump that. Okay? And the way I'm going to trump it is by... I was going to sing it, and I'm not confident that I can get it in the key now. I'm really, really concerned that I'm not going to be able to get it in the key. Right.
Is it Assman?
It's not Assman. It is not... Do you know what? I'm not going to do it. It's not Biscuits and Gravy either, which is also somehow eluded this list, which I'm not very happy about. No, it's the Shadow of a Setting Sun from Shinsuke Nakamura. His first one, not the one he raps over, which...
Oh, no.
Which, I must admit, I don't hate.
I like because of what it means for his character.
Exactly. That first one, though, and... for his entire NXT run, and I say entire, it was 18 months, I think, if that. Just the pomp and circumstance, he felt like royalty.
First time that happened, man, holy, like goosebumps, like proper goosebumps.
I mean, you've got just everything goes black, and you've just got that violin playing, and just a little riff going on with the violin, and then you've got his Titantron just starting to come up, and then suddenly just that dee! And then the entire crowd singing along with it as Shinsuke, just continues to look like a peacock, spreading his arms and puffing his chest out and being all like, "I'm Michael Jackson." It's absolutely incredible. And then he gets into the ring and does that thing where he holds onto the rope and flings his arm down. He felt like a superstar. And that moment at TakeOver Dallas, where he debuted against Sami Zayn, that theme song, he walked in and the entire of the crowd is, just chanting his name. And then from that moment on to pretty much the time he went to the main roster, that theme song was iconic. That theme song was incredible. And to have, 6,000 people sing along to that theme song, it must just send goosebumps down your arms.
Especially considering it's just music. There's no words, but the crowd are absolutely just going batshit for it. That's obviously, he had to change it when he turned because they didn't want people cheering. But you can't stop it because it's such a catchy, iconic. Yeah, like it's like a heart-pounding song. It's such a good piece of music.
It really is. It gets your heart pumping. It gets the blood pumping around your body. You're ready. It's adrenaline filled. You're ready to go and punch a door or break a wardrobe. But yeah, it's a lot of being a top star, being a champion, is your entrance, how you carry yourself to the ring. I don't think there are many people that carry themselves like Shinsuke did in that early NXT period.
It was like a rock and roll god coming out. It was like a rock and roll star coming out.
That's exactly what it was, yeah. You felt like you were seeing something special.
Yeah. I like the whole thing about... The thing about the song is it has a structure that sort of starts really high, then goes down into the sort of quiet part, and then just stops and then does that meow, and then it's up again, and that's the bit where the goosebump comes in. Just class, love it. It's one of my favourite all-time themes by far.
Yeah, it's the build, isn't it? You know something's coming. You know it's coming, and you see Shinsuke come out in the dark, and then it's just, like you say, the do. I could do it in key. Get in. And then he's bursting out, and when you've got that person doing it live with the violin on his main roster debut at Backlash, even that was incredible. And it's just a shame, really, that he couldn't capitalize on that on the main roster. I mean, Bobby Roode's another great example of that. Having this incredible theme and carrying himself like a champion, and then he gets to the main roster and grows a porn star mustache, and that's pretty much all he's remembered for.
Sad.
It is a shame, but yeah, Shinsuke Nakamura's theme takes some beating as entrances go. It takes some beating.
Definitely. Okay, so I'm going to go for one that is almost on the level of Shinsuke for entrance, and I'm going to go Velveteen Dream.
Oh.
Hit it!
DREAM.
I fucking love it.
Velveteen Dream.
Ow! Hit it! Damn.
Oh, it's just
so fucking good.
It's mental, isn't it? Mental.
It's another one that is just fucking perfect for that character as well. That persona. Absolutely nailed it.
It's impossible to not dance along with this. And I remember when they first were coming up with ideas for Patrick Clark, and someone reported that they were going to be doing a Prince rip-off. And then the vignette started, I think, the week after. And I just remember looking at it and going, that is shit. That will never get over in a million years. And then the takeover entrances happened, and everyone thought he was a star. I mean, coming out as Hulk Hogan, as Rocky Balboa when he came out, in that knockout match with Cassius Ohno. You've got
came out the fucking Statue of Liberty.
Coming out as the Statue of Liberty, and then just the man is incredible, and his theme is so a part of that. And his theme is 80s porn music.
Oh yeah, it's.
I mean, I went to Download Festival 2 years ago now, and I took my brother, and I was like, mate, there's no one on the festival bill before Blackstone Cherry and then Guns N' Roses. Let's go and watch something else. I didn't tell him we were going to watch NXT, but we did. And I remember him standing there and going, this is fucking stupid. And he stood there with his arms folded the entire time. And he unfolded his arms twice. The first time was when Adam Cole came out, and Adam Cole was the North American champion at the time when he was taking on Marcel Bartel from Imperium. And he came, and Adam Cole, did the whole boom and Adam Cole, baby. And even my brother got on board with that. He didn't say anything, but you could see he was like, okay, yeah. He's quite cool.
Loosening up.
And then the Velveteen Dream came out. And if you're already fighting a losing battle keeping someone at a wrestling thing, and then this Poundland Prince prances onto stage, and just the theme lasted fucking ages as well. And it was just DREAM Velveteen DREA. And my brother came out. We went to watch Guns N' Roses, we went to watch Blackstone Cherry. He came out and he was sat in the car and I was driving, and I just heard him under his breath going DREAM. We'd just seen Guns N' Roses perform Sweet Child of Mine, Paradise City, and he was there just going DREAM. And he looked at me and went, I fucking hate you. It's just, but
Brilliant.
It's just that ridiculously catchy. It really is. And
Just fucking love it.
but again, the whole thing with an entrance is, it's all very well having a really, really cool theme. I mean, I spoke to you and Chris in the group and said one of my favourite themes in the WWE especially is Baron Corbin's. And you're right, by the way, it was Jim Johnson. I thought it was CFO's. It was one of Jim Johnson's last ones.
It's a good theme.
It is a good theme. It's got a nice rising chorus, and it suits Baron Corbin. But Baron Corbin doesn't have the pomp and the circumstance and, the superstar power to make that into an excellent entrance, like Shinsuke does, like, the Velveteen Dream. The Velveteen Dream is a star, is an absolute star, and his entrance and everything he does and just the way he carries himself and the way he is 100% on board with his own gimmick just makes this so much better. So much better.
Definitely. Love it.
What is your favourite one? What, of all the entrances you've seen him do, which one is the best one?
It's got to be the Hogan one. The Hollywood one.
Really? Better than the Call Me Up Vince?
That was good. Is that like the way he had them like sort of spray painted?
He had the Rick Rude tights, yeah. And he had his face
good.
and Aleister Black's.
I love the Hollywood one because he even had like the weight belt and stuff.
Yeah, he did go full on board with that, didn't he? And then
like the lightning up the side and stuff.
But then he had that feud with Hulk Hogan on Twitter as well, didn't he? Because Hulk Hogan was like, "We could team up, brother," and Velveteen Dream was like, "No, I mean you're still in quite a lot of hot water, Terry. Not gonna lie." For me, just him coming out dressed as a Statue of Liberty.
It was the whole sort of set where he came out on that sort of. Was he carried in?
He was carried in, I think. Yeah. And just the way he was sort of royally waving at the crowd and full on loving it. That's
what he needs. He needs like that Macho Man like level entrance.
He does, and I think that is more his character. I think that's more his character than his wrestling, to be perfectly honest. I
do like his wrestling, to be honest. I think he's very, very sort of old school. His moveset's very sort of old school, but obviously a lot of the stuff he does is like a sort of wink and a nod to the old stuff.
Yeah.
Like the elbow drop and the DDT and stuff like that.
The figure four. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Velveteen Dream, what an inclusion. What a great inclusion. Yeah, brilliant. I haven't seen him on NXT for a while, though, so fingers crossed he's all right. He'd be great at Survivor Series. Great.
I just imagine a WrestleMania entrance for him.
Oh.
How big and it could be.
It would be phenomenal, wouldn't it? But then WWE would mess it up and you get one like Sting where you just got one man with like a drum. Triple H has got an army of fucking Terminators and Sting's got that one man on a drum. Yeah, completely shit. And I suppose, really, that sort of plays in nicely into who I was going to talk about next, and obviously that man is Triple H. The man is a walking theme archive. I mean, just his WrestleMania entrances alone are incredible. Stupid, and self-indulgent to the point of comedy. A massive corporate dick swing, yes, but still absolutely incredible. From his King thing where he had Alexa Bliss and Charlotte and Sasha Banks as like these slaves, and he was holding skulls, and he had the skull mask, and he was all decked in gold, to his police sort of, what's the word I'm looking for, where they all went down with him at WrestleMania 34, where he had the police motorbikes escorting him down, to the one at WrestleMania this year where they had the massive race on the screen. He came out in that Mad Max buggy.
That was
It lasted at least an hour too long. You got the Terminator ones, the aforementioned Terminator ones from WrestleMania 31, and all this with one of the greatest Motorhead songs ever. And this makes it onto the list because this was written for Triple H. This was Motorhead performing it, but it was written for Triple H. Yeah. So it gets onto the list because it is technically original. Technically. But just that one chord, that dun, it's time to play the game. It elicits that reaction from a crowd of, yes, Triple H is here. And we've experienced that because we were at NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool and we thought the show had finished, and then we heard that one chord, and we lost our shit. We're like Pavlovian dogs. Like, they once they heard a bell, they started salivating. We hear that one Motorhead chord, we are programmed to lose our shit. And it's incredible. Incredible.
It's the... Yeah, like you say, it's like the big opening chord, and then it sort of gives them time to let it sink in, and then it kicks in.
Yeah. And it's such an easy song. But if you ever listen to this song and you're walking down the street, you slow your pace down. You take a big swig of water and you sort of go, I could spit the water out. And I would be the coolest motherfucker in the world.
Well, I could hit somebody.
But it's just, again, his entrances got progressively more and more and more exuberant, but they're just incredible. And for music alone, for such a simple... I mean, Motorhead are not the most diverse of bands. They released 20-something albums of basically the same thing. There was no musical journey there. There was no maturity, maturing of a band. They knew what Motorhead were going to sound like, and they played 23 albums of Motorhead. And if you like Motorhead, that's great Motorhead on those Motorhead albums. I mean, don't get me wrong, I actually really like Motorhead, but...
I do. So does Triple H.
Exactly. I mean, we should also mention here as well, King of Kings. What a song. Just that bow down to your king. They're just incredible. And then you wanted to put, we've taken it off the list, but we can mention it here, his Evolution theme.
Line in the Sand. Look, I fucking love that song.
They are all amazing. It's almost like he's just got Lemmy on tap. Lemmy, I need a new theme. I've got a new faction, Lemmy. Lemmy, I've got a new faction. My thinking is that faction with Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe never happened because there was no more decent Motorhead themes. We can't have a faction. We haven't got an entrance, guys. Sorry.
Was there any unwritten songs that weren't released?
Yeah, are there any B-sides we can use? But no, the song, the first time I remember this song really, really, really hitting home, going back to obviously the game, is when Triple H returned from that either his quad injury or his calf injury, where he'd been out for like 8 months. And he came back at Madison Square Garden in 2002. And he was a heel, don't forget. He was a heel at this point. He was a prick. And just, time to play the game. And the entire of Madison Square Garden erupted. It's still, to this day, one of the biggest pops I've heard.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And that is saying something for a man who was a pretty detestable heel. I mean, he went on to win the Royal Rumble that year and was just after his return, and it was still incredible. Still then. But yeah, Triple H, the game, Motorhead, can't go wrong with some Lemmy. Cannot go wrong with some Lemmy. Rest in peace. Your next one, Garth.
I'm gonna go for a TNA one this time.
Whoa. What?
Because there are other great themes out there and other great wrestling out there. But I'm going to go with AJ Styles' TNA one.
See, now, I unfortunately have never heard this. I've heard his New Japan one. I've heard his WWE one. I've never heard his TNA one.
Get Ready to Fly. Really good.
Okay.
His WWE one is quite similar in one respect, that it has like a sort of rapping sort of feel to it, but it has like a riff, and it's like sort of Get Ready to Fly, and it's like and then keeps going I am. It's really good, like, and it totally fit his sort of personality, and especially when they did a remix of it when he came back and started using the hood, where he would sort of like look under it and then flick it up.
Yeah.
And he would sort of stand there, and the sort of fireworks would be coming down like Randy Orton's used to, like the cascade. And he would stand there, and the song would kind of sort of start, and then it would stop, and then he would throw it up, and it would kick in again. It was just all part of the entrance, and it was perfect. But it's just one of the ones that always used to stick out. And with him being such a massive part of TNA at the time and its biggest star, you've got to hear it quite a lot. But just love it. Check it out. It's really good.
I mean, we've reviewed TNA pay-per-views for the website, and I honestly can't remember it. And I know I've listened to it because he was on Destination X 2012 when he had that great match with Christopher Daniels. And I honestly, I'm a little bit annoyed with myself because I know it's good, but I just genuinely cannot remember it at all.
It's probably like the sound of it, the mix of it. TNA had this problem where sort of it was hit and miss whether or not it was loud enough. So you wouldn't always be able to hear it over the crowd or especially the commentators. They used to be like ear blisteringly loud, but it's worth checking out. There's quite a lot of good old TNA ones, but that's definitely one of my favourites.
Yeah, well, I know you've got at least one more in your arsenal that you're going to bring out later on. And for those listening to the podcast, you will be able to hear the themes in the background of us talking. So it's going to sound like me going, I don't know what it sounds like, and it's playing in the background, so I'm going to sound like an
behind you.
It's like an absolute fucking idiot. But there we are. Yeah, that is a really, really good one to go and listen to. I'm looking forward to listening to it. I'm going to go, if we're going to different promotions then, I'm going to go for Kaze ni Nare. Shinsuke Nakamura, bloody hell, Minoru Suzuki's theme, which is the best theme in the world, I think, and I think it wins any discussion, if I'm being perfectly honest. It's absolutely incredible to see this man, who is a sadistic bastard. He's a sadistic heel. That's what he does. He manipulates body parts, he beats you into oblivion, and that's his thing. Yet he comes out to this theme and he is godlike. It's a deity-like reception that he gets.
I listened to it before. I'd heard it before, but I had to sort of have another listen. It's just like, this is Suzuki. It's just like a girl singing it, and it's quite soft to begin with, and then it kind of kicks in. It turns into a rock song. I was like, it kind of goes against this sort of style, but I can kind of sort of imagine him.
It absolutely goes against everything Suzuki stands for, but it's quite a nice insight into his life, because the story goes that he really likes the artist who wrote this song, and her name is Ayumi Nakamura. I googled it before, so, you know, because I'm really professional. And basically, this song was sort of commissioned as his theme, but watching him come out, it's got that soft introduction, and then you've got the build up, din, 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 and then the entire arena is clapping. This is a moment where the, you know, in a New Japan crowd, if you're a Bullet Club fan, if you're an LIJ fan, a Chaos fan, Suzuki Gun fan, or if you're the one person that likes Toa Hanare, you clap along to this theme. You clap along. Suzuki comes out with this towel on his head, and again, he just walks to the ring almost like Taz. Just doesn't give a shit, just walking. Gets to the ring, begins clapping, and then just, when the song screams Kaze ni Nare, you have got 4,000 people who belt out those 3 words. Belt it out. And I'm not joking, just go and watch. I mean, even from, they've just done a show in San Jose, which was effectively a New Japan house show. And the attendance was about 2,000 people. Holy shit, the reaction was like a crowd of 20,000. Just the level of noise as Suzuki's theme hits, and that absolute deafening Kaze ni Nare at the end. Oh, it's just incredible. And it is, unfortunately, despite Suzuki being a great wrestler and one of my favourites, it's probably the thing he's most known for at the moment. which is quite sad. But
on his Instagram.
Well, I mean, he'll be on the Wrestle Kingdom card, obviously. There are rumours that he could be facing Shingo in a singles match, which is just going to be a hossy, beefy slap fest, which is, my kind of shit. But just watch, because he'll come down with his theme. Even if he's in a multi-man tag, it'll be his theme. And just listen to 40,000 people in the Tokyo Dome just yelling Kaze ni Nare. It's such a cathartic moment to hear all these wrestling fans unite for those 3 words. Do I know what those 3 words mean? Doorables. But it's still incredible. I mean, you've watched Wrestle Kingdoms before.
Yeah.
You watched Wrestle Kingdom 12, and we reviewed it. And we watched Goto and Suzuki put on that really, really good match. And we mentioned how good the theme was, because that was pretty much, I think, the first time both of us had heard it.
It's good when that happens with the crowd, though, where everyone's into it. It's not just like a pocket full of people, it's the whole lot.
Yeah.
It immediately makes the match feel bigger, because it means everybody's invested from that point.
It's almost like, in NXT terms, it's that Pavlovian response we spoke to with the game. Adam Cole, he says Adam Cole, you say baby. You don't care if you like him. You don't care if you know who he is. Okay, you might have just wandered in off the street. You say baby. It's just a thing. Same as this. You might not know Suzuki. You might not like his style. You might not appreciate his wrestling. You might think he's overrated. I mean, you're wrong, but you might think that. You still yell those 3 words at the top of your lungs. And there will be a day, Chris, when me, you, and Chris is what I was going to say. When me, you, and Chris go to a New Japan show and we sing those words. I promise you. And you are going to belt them out as loudly as I do. Otherwise, I'm going to kick you on the shin.
I will. I love it.
But yeah, Minoru Suzuki, great theme. Kaze ni Nare.
Excellent. Next up, I'm going to go old school again. And this time it is... Mr. Perfect.
Is this just because of the chewing gum?
It's part of it. I just think it's so grandiose. It's not what... Because at the time it was totally the opposite of all the sort of middle-of-the-road 80s rock sort of stuff.
Warrior, for example.
Exactly, yeah. His was like sort of... It felt important and like sort of regal. Like grandeur. Like it felt important, and he would come out, and it wasn't that he came out like especially sort of praising himself up and stuff. He would just come out, walk down, jump over the top rope, hit the chewing gum away, throw the towel behind his back and catch it again, and then that was it. But it just felt, I don't know, it was just such a good tune, and it is like a really nice piece of music as well.
It is. It is a nice piece of music. I will give you that. As from a composer point of view, yes, it is very good. I mean, again, it was so different because you were surrounded by, your steroid-induced angry meathead, that sort of music. I mean, look at Hulk Hogan's, which hasn't made the list somehow. I am a real American. But you had those sort of, fight for the right, those uplifting songs. And this was so different, and it was really cool. I mean, this was a long time before my time. Sorry, Garth. But it did fit his character perfectly.
It was sort of the precursor to Hunter Hearst Helmsley, because he had like a similar-ish tune, and he came out in the similar sort of vein, sort of "I'm better than you" sort of thing. But Perfect's was like so much better.
It was. It was so different, and the simplicity of what he did. Whereas Warrior was very showman, Perfect was a very, very calm and collected. Look how fucking cool I am. Basically, look at the shit I can do.
Yeah, and it wasn't one of those songs when it came on, everyone just like an immediate pop. It was everyone just like, like he's here sort of thing, but it wasn't like a sort of massive cheat. Well, mostly because he was a heel for most of his run anyway, but it was just perfect, yeah, and it just fit, and it, like I say, it was because it was so different. I think that's why I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot more to add to that one,
no.
Garth, just because you've said it.
Yeah, it's like it's not like a sort of flash bang, high octane song. That's the thing. There's not a lot to say about it, but it is just a nice song.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It is a good song, and the theme is great. The entrance is great. Mr. Perfect was great. I miss Mr. Perfect.
Me too.
I mentioned my next one earlier, and it's one that we both said straight away should be on this list. It's the Undisputed Era, Shock the System. Oh, just that. Oh, I love that fucking song. I was stuck in traffic recently, and I was talking to you about this before we came on air. And I was stuck in quite slow-moving traffic, which is extremely frustrating. The best way to get over frustrating road traffic, though, is to play Shock the System very, very loudly and pretend you're Adam Cole. Because people so move when you are randomly putting your hands up in the air and seemingly screaming at them. It's very, very therapeutic. I mean, it's a complete NWO rip-off, the song. Doesn't stop it being ridiculously catchy. And made just so much better by Kyle O'Reilly air guitaring the belt on the way down to the ring.
It's just one of those songs that the first time I heard it, I was like, yeah, that's amazing. It's a keeper.
There's two very different parts of the song, and they fit together so well. You've got that first bit, that and that's just quite that funky, like you've got to like almost move your head to it. It's impossible not to. And then just that chorus, and just that bit, and you're just like, yes, this is amazing. And then it just ends with that boom. And
that's the bit, because you're waiting for that, and they're just standing there, and then you just times it perfectly, and then just boom, it's just amazing.
Yeah, perfect. Absolutely. And I think the theme, ridiculous as it sounds, and as over as Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era are, that song has helped them massively, especially Adam Cole. I mean, the Adam Cole Baby was over anyway, but that boom that is echoed around every single NXT arena, and will soon be echoed around a main roster arena when he enters the Survivor Series match that he's, rumoured to be in.
Can't wait for that.
He is.
If he is, I can't wait to hear that in like a big, massive stadium.
It's going to be amazing. It is going to be absolutely incredible. And just that boom moment. And I mentioned earlier about the Download Festival. He was the person that got my brother to sort of go, he's quite cool. And that was the theme, because everyone, again, united to go boom and baby. Two very, very simple phrases.
I listened to Jericho's podcast the other day, and he's said it quite a lot of times. And he was talking to it was Awesome Kong, and it was like about her like entrance music and stuff, and he says like entrance is 2/3 of the character, the person, because that's where people will form their opinions straight away. And he says, and if you've got a strong piece of music as well that goes with it, people will remember it more than they'll remember the person. So like just that song is that for me. Like the first time I saw those, I didn't sort of remember their names all straight away, like Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, but I remembered the tune, and it was just kept going back to it and back to it. It's just amazing. Wanting to actually rewind the entrances to listen to it again.
I've listened to it 3 times today.
Yeah.
And I really want to listen to it again. And if a song is that good and it's that catchy, you know you're onto a winner, like you said. And we mentioned it at the start of the podcast. You know, going back to Baron Corbin's theme. Baron Corbin's got a great theme song, but do you remember anything else about it? No, he walks to the ring, that's it. These guys have got swagger. Adam Cole carries himself like a champion, and all of that put together with, you know, the crowd interaction and the fact that everyone is so into this theme helps it no end, and it just gets it over completely. I mean, it's the exact same thing as the Bobby Roode Glorious, which unfortunately Vince saw as a money grabbing exercise.
But it's just like you say, it's and again, it's another one that doesn't have any words apart from boom, but it's perfect and everybody knows it.
As soon as Shock the System comes out, and it's
again, that's perfect. Yeah,
it could be any member. I mean, I remember NXT. It was one of the early takeovers this year. I think no, it wasn't Phoenix because Roddy wasn't on that card. It was one of the cards where all 3. There was the tag team of Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. Roddy was in a match, and Adam Cole was in a match. And the first theme was Shock the System. It didn't give a shit which one of them it was. The crowd erupted.
Yeah.
Because they were just like, this song is absolutely class, and it means the Undisputed Era are coming out. And I think it was the tag team. It was the tag team match with the War Raiders. And
was that the one where... was that the night where Roddy turned?
No, Roddy turned in 2018, I think. Didn't Roddy turn at... was it New Orleans? No. It was when they had the 3-way tag match, and it was the Undisputed Era against Bobby Fish and against Roddy Strong and Pete Dunne and the Authors of Pain. And I want to say it was WrestleMania weekend NXT TakeOver New Orleans. Just talk for a minute, and I'm going to find it because I'm also intrigued by that now. So,
I'm trying to think what that what the first one where I saw this song. I can't remember what it was.
It was the one after, because he debuted at Brooklyn 3.
It might have been that. I mean, I can't remember, but again, it was like I say, it's another one of those ones where it's instant, just like Nakamura's, like Warriors, like just there's an instant click, and it has a catchy hook to it, and it's just like, yeah, fuck it, I'm in on it.
It was New Orleans. It was New Orleans where Roddy turned. But yeah, what a theme! What a theme! And genuinely, I am going to listen to it when we finish recording this podcast.
Yeah.
I don't care if my girlfriend's in bed. I am going to do the boom. I am going to do the Adam Cole baby. And she is going to kick me out. But I don't care. So, Garth, I think we've both got one left. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, I'm sure the audience at home can argue amongst themselves as to whether we've left the best to last. But before you go into that, it is very, very clear that we have missed some absolutely ridiculously large ones out. So, just quickly...
Might say Stone Cold Classics.
King of the segue, Garth. Loving it. I think, yeah, we've missed out quite a few, like, for example, Stone Cold Steve Austin's theme, which I watched WrestleMania 13. And that's when you've actually got the physical glass shattering on his entrance. Yeah. It's not that over, because obviously that people credit that match with the making of Stone Cold. And it's quite unnerving to hear that glass shatter and there be, a moderate reaction, but not the ear-splitting reaction that you'd usually get. And then we get to 98, 99, and holy shit. That glass is probably more iconic than the actual song itself, just that glass shattering at the start.
At that point, you hardly got to hear the song anyway.
No.
Because as soon as that glass went, the crowd was just like...
Exactly. In fact, to the point where he changed his theme very, very briefly to use the Disturbed cover of it, and nobody gave a shit because it still had the glass shattering at the start, so nobody cared.
That's one that I missed off because I just thought it doesn't even need to be on here. It's so iconic.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's one of the ones like Hulk Hogan's, like another one like The Rock that were missed off. They sit on a different plateau. Even Undertaker's theme.
Yeah, Undertaker's on there. I personally think Kane's is on there as well.
Yeah.
Because it's not just the song, it's the stuff that goes with it. Undertaker, you've got the slow walk to the ring, you've got the fire, you've got, the creepy dolls, you've got, all that kind of bullshit. You've got the 4,000 hours it takes him to make his way to the ring. And then Kane, you've got, the fire and the pyro. He's got the coolest pyro in wrestling. I don't care what you say. You can tell me that Batista's machine gun is cool. No. Does he make fire come out of the turnbuckles? I don't think so. Okay, so...
There was one that I was torn with, putting on my list, and I was umming and ahhing. It probably would have been hard to put on, but it was Jushin Thunder Liger's. Because he's had it since the 80s. It's never changed. And apart from when he went to NXT, they changed it slightly.
Yeah.
But it's just so good. It's like a video game, but I was so tempted to put it on, but I didn't.
It is extremely catchy, even now. And, well, especially now as this is effectively Liger's goodbye tour. And you think you've heard a reaction, you wait till January the 5th, and you hear Liger's theme for the last time as an active wrestler. Holy fuck, that crowd is going to absolutely erupt.
When the match ends and he does his final bow,
I genuinely might cry. But just that... It's brilliant.
It's so happy. It's so uplifting.
And everyone starts clapping and you're dancing and it's awesome. It is a great theme. I wish I'd thought of that one, to be honest. It is great. It's like Naito's theme, though. Just... They're all so catchy, but yeah, Liger's is different level for that. Different level. It does make me quite sad that we've just spoken about all these iconic themes: Steve Austin's, Undertaker's, Kane's, Liger's, and now we're gonna go. I know what the last two we're talking about are, and these don't compare at all.
That's the thing. It's like it doesn't compare, and it's one that some people might never have even heard.
Exactly. Again, before Garth goes into what his pick is, this is not a definitive top 10. This is not this is the order we've ranked them in. This is just us having a discussion about some themes we like. Okay, please don't come on to us and go, I can't believe that, the game was below Kaze Nina Ray, or I can't believe Undisputed Era wasn't number 1. Okay, that's by the by. We haven't put them in an order. To be honest, I've done it as things have segued into it. So
pick them randomly. Yeah.
So again, chill.
I'm going to go back to the TNA vault because yes, I used to be a big TNA mark.
Really?
And yep, you might be shocked to hear that, people. But yeah. But it's two of my favorites combined in an awesome tag team. They're one of the best tag teams ever.
Is it Relic and Black Rain?
Oh, shit. What about them? No, it is Beer Money! Get your money!
I love love how into it you are. It's amazing.
Fucking love that song. It's so good. It was so good. Perfect for them too. Bobby Roode and James Storm, Beer Money, incredible. Bobby Roode's had some good theme tunes actually, all the way through. But this is my favourite. It was the height of it all in TNA. It was when the crowds were big and they were into it every time, and when they used to do the whole where they would sort of hunker down and put their arms out and go, "Ooh, beer," and then Bobby would go, "Money," and the crowd would go crazy. I just fucking love it. But the tune was class. It's like a sort of rocky cowboy type thing. But, it's so good.
You were listening to this before we came on air, weren't you?
Yeah.
And you seem to be having a right nice time. A right happy little time.
It was like sort of taking a step back in time. I just fucking love it, man. Just a great theme, and all the lyrics fit into their personas at the time. They were started out as heels, and then they became fan favourites. And the fan favourites thing was totally, I think, against the booking. It was just the crowd got into it, and it was definitely part of the song, because as soon as you heard, because it would open with like a beer can being opened, like beer, money, and the crowd would just go crazy. It's perfect. Love it.
This was quite literally just a really, really cool theme, wasn't it? We've talked about people like Shinsuke who've made their way down to the ring like a rock star. We've talked about Perfect and Warrior and all these people. This was quite literally just a really cool song.
Yeah, they just walk down.
Now, I've heard a rumour that there was... Obviously, unfortunately, I didn't watch TNA at the time that Beer Money were big. The furthest I've gone back in the archives, with the exception of Slammiversary 2006, was to watch Destination X 2012. And I believe that Robert Roode, as he was then... Was he Robert Roode or was he Bobby Roode?
Yeah, Bobby Roode, yeah.
He was the champion. So he'd split off from Beer Money at that point. But James Storm, and I think this is true, and I really hope it's true now that I'm saying it on a podcast, James Storm was originally supposed to go to WWE and have the theme that is now AJ Styles' theme.
Really?
Apparently that theme was written for James Storm, and when he didn't come, and AJ Styles did, they rewrote bits of it and basically made it for AJ.
Wow.
So, a little bit of an interesting nugget there.
That wouldn't have worked for James Storm.
No, I agree, and I assume bits of it were changed.
Yeah. Especially considering his theme in TNA was long necks and rednecks.
Yeah, I mean, it does mention the word redneck in it.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tenuous link, but yeah. I don't know. You're right. Bobby Roode's had some great themes. I feel so sorry for him at the moment, with his porn star moustache.
This is just the Beer Money thing was just, for me, it was, like I say, height of TNA. It was when everything was going right for them, and Bobby Roode and James Storm were like top of the billing, along with Motor City Machine Guns, and that theme tune was just amazing.
Am I right in saying that any theme that starts with a sound effect is the best?
They are, yeah. They do seem to have a more like immediate reaction.
I mean, you've got the Stone Cold glass shattering. You've got the Road Warriors. What a rush!
Yeah.
And then you've got
like Mick Foley's with like the car crash.
You got the Mick Foley car crash, yeah, absolutely. Which again, another theme we didn't add on. And then you've got the Beer Money beer can. I think that we've made a revelation that if you put a sound effect at the start of your theme song, you'll get over. There you go, Shorty G. They've changed the name to put a sound effect at the start of your theme.
Shorty G.
Now, number one for me. Okay, well, the last one, I should say, not number one. This isn't a definitive list. This isn't number one. So please don't lampoon us. Okay, don't attack us. Is Biscuits and Gravy by Jesse and Festus. No. It's the Trevor Murdoch theme. No, it's not that either. It's the DX theme by the DX band or the Chris Warren band, whatever they were referred to as. And this theme, the Are You Ready? It was brilliant. It was the song of a generation of...
Tell us what to do.
Exactly. It was the sign of the times changing in the WWF.
Totally aping on the whole Rage Against the Machine thing that was big at the time.
Oh yeah, 100%. If the Undisputed Era song is a rip-off of the NWO, then this is absolutely a rip-off of Rage Against the Machine, to the point where for years I thought Rage Against the Machine did it.
Well, to be fair, it does sound a lot like him. Zach De La Rock, but I mean, this was, what, 97? 98?
Yeah, you're looking at that sort of era.
So this is when me and my mate were all banging the fucking Rage. So when this came out, it was like, shit, this shit's legit.
There's a great story of when they are playing live at WrestleMania 15, I believe, when Shawn comes out to face Steve Austin. They're playing it live, and they'd done the national anthem at the start, and apparently it was that bad that they were getting massive heat. And everyone thought Vince was going to go fucking ballistic, because basically this little bloke had butchered the national anthem, and Vince loved it. Apparently, absolutely loved it. Yeah, they love it. You know, they shit. Oh, it's the good shit. And yeah, it makes me laugh, that story, because that is so quintessentially Vince. They hate it, therefore they must love it. But yeah, this is another one that gets just instantly stuck in your head. And then it's one of those where you play it on the video game and you get the overlay and you get the people coming in. And just Shawn Michaels and Triple H were cool. Well, they were cool in the 90s. I mean, you look back now and it wasn't cool. You look back now and you think that was cringy. But
when they were coming out, and then they had China follow them out, and then in the early days they had Rick Rude follow them out with the briefcase. All of that stuff was just, it was cool because it felt like a gang. They were like a legit gang that were going to come and kick somebody's ass.
They were, and again, it was a catchy fucking song. The more you listen to it, and again, you're absolutely right, Garth, it was bang right in the middle of the Rage Against the Machine boom. You listen to it, and, just even when he's just screaming D-Generation X, you're just rocking out to this song. You've got the crowd getting ballistic, showing tits and stuff like that. It's a completely wacky time. And it really was such a cool song, and such, even when it's played now, I mean, DX against Kane and Undertaker at Crown Jewel was an absolute cavalcade of shit. And that's being polite. The only thing that saved that match was the fact that we got to hear DX's theme again. That's literally the only redeeming feature. You had a bald Shawn Michaels who hadn't wrestled in ages, and you got Fat Kane and Fat Undertaker taking on Triple H. And Triple H was the best worker in that match. That goes to show how shit it was. But you had the DX theme, and yeah, I can't say enough good things about this theme. It was the soundtrack to a time when I started watching wrestling, and this was one of the things that I was like, I quite like this type of music, and sort of moved me away from Eiffel 65 and Blue Dabba Dee into, more punk and stuff like that. Don't you laugh? We all love that song.
I fucking detested that song.
You did not.
I was old enough to, though.
No, see, you're old enough to say to everyone now that you did. If you say you did, you're just lying to yourself.
That used to come on in a nightclub that I used to go to, and it used to make us feel sick.
It used to come on at a nightclub. It used to end school discos for me. Just think about that. I think that's a great place to end this podcast, Garth, to be honest. Yep. I don't think we can top that. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. Again, I am just going to quickly make a disclaimer, this is not a definitive list of our favourite themes. It's a discussion about some themes that we like. We've mentioned ones that we think are on a plateau above. It's just a conversation about some absolutely kick-ass themes. If you haven't listened to the themes, like, for example, I'm not really familiar with AJ Styles' TNA theme, as I said earlier, please go and check them out, because we've mentioned them for a reason. But yeah, thank you for listening, guys. You can subscribe to us on any of the podcast platforms. Just simply type us in and we will appear. You can check us out on Facebook at PodMania Podcast, at Twitter at PodMania. Our end-of-year awards are in the process of being compiled right now. You can have your say and you can vote. The link is pinned to the top of our Twitter page. It's on our Facebook page, so please go and join. You can vote for it. You can vote as many times as you want, so if you're stuck on 2, just vote twice and just do 2. Why not? We don't mind. So vote there. If you're wondering about the schedule, every Monday we release a new episode of our Universe Mode, or WWE 2K19 Universe Mode. That drops every Monday at 7 p.m. GMT. On a Wednesday, me and Chris do a New Japan podcast called The Young Lion Cast. That comes out every Wednesday at 10 o'clock p.m. GMT. And then the PodMania podcast obviously drops at 2 p.m. on a Saturday GMT. You can talk to me on Twitter at RealRobGoodwin. Garth, where can they find you?
At Garthamania.
Fantastic. You can also follow Chris at NoGoto, which is, again, a great Twitter handle. Final thing to say before we leave you tonight, or this morning, or this after, whenever you're listening to this, to be perfectly honest. We are now, Garth, award nominated.
Yes, I saw that.
We are an award-nominated podcast. Now, everyone I know is nowhere near as excited about this as me, but we are nominated. The Wrestle Hub are doing their Wrestling Podcast Awards 2019, and we have been nominated in the Best Trios category, which is very humbling, especially when you look at some of the other people that are in the Podcast Awards. People like OSW, people like Sam Roberts are also in these award categories, so that's really quite cool that we are being put in that. We're nothing like that, but it's really nice to be put in there. Yeah. So if you want to check it out, it's at the Wrestle Hub. Go and check it out. Loads and loads of great podcasts, loads of great categories. Just make sure in the trio you vote for us, please. Please. That'd be great. But in the meantime, guys, thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you guys again soon.
You've been listening to the PodMania Pro Wrestling Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at PodMania, Facebook at PodMania Podcasts, and YouTube and Instagram at Real PodMania. And check out the website podmania.co.uk. Until next time, wrestling fans.